Hello, my name is Blake Patterson, and welcome to Real Values. On this week's episode, I finally discuss Oppenheimer. There has been much discussion about Oppenheimer's critical status and how it has been called a monumental achievement of this century. While Christopher Nolan's latest feature is below this level, the movie succeeds in having the director organize elements of J. Robert Oppenheimer's life into an unobvious structure, as it gradually evolves with Ludwig Göransson's potent music through aesthetic shifts between color for subjectivity and black and white for objectivity. Oppenheimer delves into the egotism and fragility of genius as it takes scientific innovation as a means of destruction through governmental terms. Thematically speaking, Nolan transitions from explicit to implicit in how he examines the inner turmoil of Oppenheimer, a multi-layered performance by Cillian Murphy, and the people in his life. Some early discussions about the theory of quantum physics and its role in policy can be repetitive and overlong, but the film's intelligence and pathos counter those dry moments. Through Nolan's nonlinear narrative, audiences acknowledge the process, execution, and aftermath of the invention and Oppenheimer's private life, such as being a womanizer. As Nolan and Murphy present him, Oppenheimer is a man whose genius consumes him for the worst, even when he becomes aware of the situation's gravity. In one intense sequence with an audience, Nolan demonstrates how the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki creates a sense of jingoism for America when its influencers project ideas of blind pride in one country's violence against another. The surreal imagery of Oppenheimer's mind during scenes like this one recalls the psychological tension of a David Lynch film. Speaking of influences, Nolan learns from directors like Lynch and Terrence Malick by applying natural or nightmarish images to complement Oppenheimer's headspace. One may laugh at the decision, but the deliberateness of the sex scenes and how Nolan applies Oppenheimer's affair with Florence Pugh's Jean Tatlock into a sequence with her sitting on him during his security hearing emanates the character's sense of guilt and humiliation. Early images of the explosion may recall the vivid beauty of Malick's symbolism in The Tree of Life. Still, Oppenheimer is a purely Nolan work in its attention to detail and incorporation of mystery. When the movie takes place in rural settings with a sunny hue against the characters, Oppenheimer accomplishes a look similar to his 2014 science fiction epic, Interstellar. There is considered restraint in Nolan's color palette for Oppenheimer, and each image is colorful enough in its muted state to avoid bringing attention to itself or Nolan as an artist. Regarding its performances, the initial impression of some characters and the performers behind them may seem like a caricature until they feel authentic to their setting due to character development and sincere acting. Two examples come to mind for this scenario: Tom Conti's Albert Einstein and Benny Safdie's Edward Teller. It would be easy to play Einstein stereotypically, but Conti strikes an honest chord in his small but integral performance. As he impressed audiences with his performance as an autistic brother in Good Time, Safdie's portrayal of the Hungarian-American physicist may cause one to initially think, is this accent going to be distracting? Then Safdie finds ways to ground the character by concentrating on the subtle and explosive ways he approaches Oppenheimer. These two characters could have been unintentional jokes in an otherwise serious film, but Conti and Safdie excel by understanding them as people instead of ideas. The more popular performers like Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, Emily Blunt and Pugh serve their characters well and occasionally surprise the viewers. Downey has established himself since the beginning as a gifted actor with range, and his portrait of senior U.S. Atomic Energy Commission member Levi Strauss and how his insecurities eventually appear beneath a facade is emotionally nuanced. While not a transformative actor, Damon plays Lieutenant General Leslie Groves sincerely without reducing him to a genre archetype. Emily Blunt has often not left much of an impression, and her role as Catherine Kitty Oppenheimer seems thankless until Nolan establishes her strength in later scenes with her husband. Some may suggest Nolan reduces Pugh's Tatlock into an object of his and Oppenheimer's gaze. However, there is emotional complexity in her portrayal of the character's political motivations and gradual grief, even when other famous performers like Rami Malek and Kenneth Branagh appear, they do not distract viewers away from Nolan's canvas. With each component in place, Nolan subverts biopic conventions by exploring the intricacies of Oppenheimer's psyche and presence while also focusing on the games he finds himself in, whether it is intentional or unintentional. Through Nolan's lens, Oppenheimer serves as a complex reminder of how innovation can quickly become a weapon against society. For some readers, the notion of artificial intelligence's looming threat may complement their contemporary understanding of Oppenheimer's story. Instead of lazily exploiting paranoia for shallow shock value, Nolan constructs nuances out of these circumstances to ask questions about where the world is now after Oppenheimer's time. The film's final images and their thematic implications unnerve the heart and mind about what can happen when those of capitalistic power create chaos and hatred through the result of scientific invention. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great night.